So, here's my new Gamecube. I had some issues with my Gamecube before, and I just didn't think it would be worth it to just fix it and get it repaired, so I just decided to get a new one off eBay, and I was able to find one in very good condition, so here it is. You know, pretty nice, but here's what I'm trying to do. If you may notice, I have, if some of you don't know what this is, an Eon Mark II HDMI adapter for the Gamecube. Yeah, I'm basically trying to build the ultimate Gamecube right now. It may take me a while. So the Eon Mark II is very good. It gives me some very crisp 480p footage on the Gamecube, and but there's still some other things I want to get, like the Marseille in Classic, which will upscale to HD, which will be very nice for this thing, and I think that would look really nice. And getting wireless controllers, because Nintendo actually made their own wireless controllers for the Gamecube. They were called the Wavebird controller, and they were pretty simple, pretty cool. But so I'll get one of those at some point. I think the first thing I'll probably get though is the upscaler, because honestly, using a wire controller, it's not that bad since I'm just sitting not that far from the Gamecube. And another thing will be the Game Boy Player, which the Game Boy Player just like plugs into the bottom into this port right here, and it just lets you play. You know, you guys already know what it does. It plays Game Boy and Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games, but you can play it on your TV now, which is nice because I do have some Game Boy Advance. My bad. I do have some Game Boy Advance games, and I am trying to build my Game Boy Advance collection. But the main thing I'm trying to do is build the ultimate GameCube collection. Now, there's still, I want to collect for all my systems and all that, but I think the GameCube is just going to be my main focus, because honestly, it's just, I don't know, man. The games on here are very nice. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker is my second favorite Zelda game besides Breath of the Wild. It's a very, very good game. Same with Mario Sunshine. That's my favorite Mario game. I know everybody hates on it, but I don't know. I like it. And, it got Metroid Prime and all those, but I'm just trying to build my GameCube collection because there are lots of good games for this. However, they are pretty expensive. Now, I could just keep resorting to eBay hunting like I've been doing, which is how I got this GameCube. I just hunted on eBay and was able to find one that looked really good, and when I got it, it was really good. Like, there's no discoloring, no, like, chipping or anything. You can't see any dust in the fan either. It's very good. All the basic stuff. But I think if I'm really trying to build my GameCube collection, trying to buy in bulk, eBay hunting is probably not the way to go. Now, there are sites like DK Oldies, and which is just far too expensive. Their GameCube games specifically are very expensive. Now, some of their other games they've sold there, I've checked, they're pretty decent in pricing, but mostly I know DK Oldies, they have a good reputation for the quality of their games, but like, I don't know, their prices, I've checked on their sites, it's very expensive. And one of the sites I'm looking at right now is Lukey Games. It's basically like another site like DK Oldies, but they're cheaper. Now, if their quality is as good as like DKL's, it doesn't really matter that much. It doesn't have to be in perfect condition, you know, but I just don't want it to be too scratched up. I don't want to see any war scars on it, on my games, just stuff like that. Or anything that could, like, ruin the cover art. But, so, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build my ultimate GameCube. So I've got the Eon Mark II, which I had to adjust, you know, the settings on this to get it just right. Because when I got it and, you know, turned it on, it did not, like, it didn't look like it did very much. But I was able to get the settings, you know, finely tuned. Basically the settings you need to change is just for the color, and make sure to put it into progressive scan mode instead of interlacing mode, which is like 480p is progressive scan mode and 480i is, you know, interlacing. But because interlacing, you get some more flicker and stuff. This is the memory card I'm using. It was on Amazon. It was pretty cheap. Stuff like these, like the memory cards are, I mean, nowadays you can get some very high capacity memory cards for dirt cheap. I mean, this has worked very fine. I haven't really had any issues with this. I mean, all it does is just save the game data. And, it's a lot better than, like, what Nintendo had back when they first released this thing. They had 8 megabytes or 16. And as you can see, yeah, 16 megabytes. That's not that much, but, like, this is what they had. This is the kind of storage capacity you got back when it first came out, but now they've just improved upon that technology so much. So now retro gamers can have, like, so many games. Now, there are a couple other things I could get, like, I've heard about the Pico boot, where I don't know how it really works. You, like, put your game, you get it onto an SD card, you get your games, you know, transferred to an SD card, you plug it into the Pico boot that's on your GameCube system, and boom, you don't have to put a disc in. But, like, I feel like that defeats the whole purpose. Although, like, I've heard, like, you can you can boot off Swiss, which I've heard can force games into widescreen, because, you know, not many games on the GameCube are widescreen. There are actually a few, and thanks to my version of the GameCube, which has that digital AV port, which is how I have that adapter, you can get those games, those widescreen games, and put them in widescreen. Because, yeah, they didn't really put, you know, many games in widescreen or really utilize the digital AV port that much. And they eventually got rid of it on later systems, because they just, not many people were using it, so they just kind of gave up on it to cut costs, which is fine, but, you know, still disappointing. Although now like about the same time frame as, like, these plug and play ports for the GameCube, you can also get things like the RetroTink. They have, like, all different kinds of that, like upscalers and stuff, and processing. It's crazy. And I've seen they're making, like, a RetroTink 5X Direct, which will just plug directly into the analog AV port that the GameCube, N64, and SNES have. So I guess if you didn't really want to just buy a whole new GameCube to take advantage of that high quality, you could just buy one of those. Or you could just buy one of the other RetroTinks, like I don't know, they have a bunch of ones. They have, like, the 2X Mini, 2X Pro, and then they have the 5X, which is just, oof. The RetroTink 5X costs like $300, but it does do a lot, like, upscaling, and it's very impressive what they're doing with retro gaming nowadays. But yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do to build the ultimate GameCube. Oh, one other thing, I think a few, I don't think many games on the GameCube really support online play. But if you wanted to do online play, you know, you have to get a broadband adapter and plug it into the bottom right here because, you know, Wi-Fi wasn't really how you did things back then. You can't do that, so you had to do everything by Ethernet. And this doesn't have like an Ethernet port in the back, so I could also do that to build the ultimate GameCube. But mostly all those things I've said before. I'm trying to build, I think, the 6 next games that I'm trying to get for the GameCube. What are they? Wave Race Blue Storm, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Mario Kart Double Dash, F-Zero GX, I'm trying to think. Mario Party 6, 4, 5, or 6, or 7. And it just kind of depends. I've been kind of looking at the different GameCube Mario Parties, trying to decide which one I should get. Honestly, might just get Mario Party 7 because that's the cheapest. Because like it's like $60, and Mario Party 4, 5, and 6 are all like upwards of like over $100. So, I mean, I've heard very good things about Mario Party 6. So maybe I would want to spring for that, but I don't know. I think I might just wait on Mario Party 6 and get that at some other time. And Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion is it's crazy how far it's gone, but it was a big thing for the GameCube because it wasn't launching. This thing wasn't launching with a normal Mario game. It was launching with a Mario spin-off called Luigi's Mansion, and yeah. It's not what everybody wanted, but I think nowadays everybody kind of is grateful for that because now you got Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch, and you know the series is getting a lot of love these days. But that's what I'm trying to do with the GameCube. Right now, I'm glad to have it replaced since the other one just stopped working. It was the reason why I stopped working was because like the power, like. It would turn on, but only the fan would turn on, and nothing else would work. Like the light, the LED, or whatever light, would like flash for like a split second, and then the fan would turn on, but like nothing else. It was just dead. I don't know what that's about. I have heard things about the N64 where if you use third-party AC adapters, like being different wattage or something, it could fry the system, which could have been what happened with my GameCube because it was using a third-party AC adapter and some third-party component AV cables, so this fortunately came with all the first-party stuff, including a controller, which is pretty nice. So now I have 2 Nintendo GameCube controllers, but yeah. Well, let me actually check what's I have in my collection right now for the GameCube. Alright. So I have all the basics. I have Wind Waker, Mario Sunshine, and the case for this I might need to replace because it's very scratched up at this point. Most of this was like I got it this way. The case was already scratched up, so I might have to get a new case. I really just need to get a new shelf to put my games on. I have like 3 Need for Speed games, Underground 2, Underground, and Hot Pursuit. The interesting thing about Underground 2, Most Wanted, and Carbon on the GameCube all supported widescreen. So if you had those special component cables and you had a proper widescreen flat screen TV, you could play this in widescreen, which is pretty nice. But yeah, so yeah, all those, and then Metroid Prime, which is honestly kind of weird. You know, it's very different than like most first-party shooters with the controls. It doesn't take advantage of that right C-stick, you know, that extra joystick. It just kind of like I don't even know if that extra joystick even does anything. I can't remember. It's weird that I can't remember. I was just playing this morning, but they were able to make the weird control scheme they had for it. They made it work, and it was very good. And I haven't had too many problems with it. It's very nice. Oh, that reminds me. A Game Boy link cable, that's also something I'd want to get. Because I do have a Game Boy Advance. But, yeah. So, that is my GameCube collection, and that is what I'm trying to do with my GameCube. So, yeah, I'm trying to really, collect for this thing, for this system in particular, get all the different games for all the major first-party games, and maybe some rare games like Chibi Robo or Cubivore. I haven't seen much about Cubivore. I've seen some Chibi Robo. That actually looks like a very good game that I want, and it costs like $200. So I might have to wait on that. But yeah. And at some point I will do a video on the GameCube itself. Main video. But that probably won't be for a while. But yeah. That's all I have to really say for now about that. So